Why? Why? Hello, folks, and welcome to another review and thoughts on this movie. Sucked balls, and not even royally. It's a 2021 film. It's directed by Sean Riley or Steen Riley. It stars Elizabeth McCoy, which I think she did a pretty good job in this. Everything else, I mean, it tries to steal from. They mentioned Cinderella, or I don't think Carrie. It's basically a coming of age story, I guess you can say. There's this high school girl named Astor, who is a shy, nerdy girl, but once she takes those glasses off, she's dynamite, you know. They pull that in this movie. It's a low budget film. I mean, it's a horror film, but it's not really scary. The effects, barely any effects really that are to praise. I mean, it's, again, this shy girl who gets bullied at school, even at home, by her half-sister and her stepmom. Her dad is pretty cool, but then he's also a pansy who caters to the mother over his own daughter, which I'm like, okay, screw him. But then randomly, this one teacher in her class substitutes for another teacher. She meets her, defends her in class. They hit it off pretty fast. And time in this movie is odd. But yeah, pretty much. She eggs this one bully's house with the substitute teacher, and then that mean girl and her stepsister, the main girl's stepsister and her friends decide to, because this girl Astor has a bee thing. She's like into bees, very hardcore, which is fine. It's not my thing, but okay. But yeah, she's into bees, and pretty much she built like this hive for bees, I guess, and they decide to destroy it. And then in that same night, randomly the substitute teacher literally pulls up in front of her house. Astor gets in. The stepsister sees this. They drive off, and then the next morning she's at the substitute teacher's house. She's like, "Where are we?" She's like, "We're safe." And then she stays there for like, I don't know how long, like a certain amount of days, I guess. Possibly a month or so, because, yeah. But, yeah, so, pretty much, that happens. She meets the substitute teacher's son, and then she's like, "You should bang him," pretty much, or let him bang you, or literally. And weird song choices in this movie, for sure. Odd, like poppy teen boppy music, emo music, I guess you can say, but I don't know. And this movie made me tired, apparently. But the acting in this is fine, again, from the main actress, even the substitute creepy teacher, who is also into bees. She has her own beehive at home at this house. She forbids Astor to go in the barn. Then we find out what's in that barn at the very end, which was pointless, and who cares? Because this movie is it's a boring, it's a slow burn, but stuff is not really explained as, uh, you know, what is happening, and even the ending is kind of questionable, because it's kind of questionable and then it's not. It's like, what are these? Are these people actually bee people, I guess? Human living bee people? But then it's weird because they treat them like vampires, because then they have fangs that come out their mouths. And there's a scene where, literally at the end, where an extra, that, because Aster does transform, but she only has Tinkerbell wings, and there's an extra like standing like right next to her, and because the wings are like, I guess, a bit out there, the extra had to literally lean back away from the, so she didn't get flopped in the face by the phony looking wings that are half crooked as well. Like nobody bothered to we're gonna try to glue or whatever, fix that up in post. Nope. Not at all. And you can tell they're phony looking wings. Like, hey, right, it's not CGI, but you know what? You might as well just done that, because, again, like, they're crooked, and there's in shots where they're crooked, one side's up, the other side's lower, and literally an extra had to whip her head back so she didn't get hit in the face, which I thought was the most funny and best scene in this entire movie. But yeah, pretty much, there's, I guess, a cult of bee people that are bee people, literally. Because then, the guy that was supposedly the son of the substitute teacher, creepy teacher lady, bee lady, I'll call her. I guess he's sick, he has a disease or something, and so she's been looking for a new queen, I guess, to breed, and so she set her sights on Aster, and that's why she, all this time, but, I don't know, and then I didn't really care about Aster at the end of the day, because her character, she turns heel, of course, because she literally, like, stuff is going on weirdly at this house, and she decides, I love how, in the scene when, that Henry guy, the fake son guy, he dies, I guess, off screen, she asks, like, where's he at, and the bee lady doesn't even answer her. Then there's this other guy that just shows up randomly. At first I thought he was a cop, but then I guess he's not, because he has like a cowboy hat on. I thought he was like a sheriff or something. But no. And he's a pervert as well. Even she calls him out on it. And so I guess pretty much this bee lady is the queen of this hive of people as well. But then she's been looking for a new queen, I guess, to groom. But then I didn't understand that. I don't understand how that works. They explain like how I guess the new queen will kill the old queen to take over or something. But then also, I guess, the male who breeds with the new queen dies, or the old queen dies or something. They explain it at the beginning. But she got, pretty much, Aster gets pregnant by the Henry guy, who was the bee lady's fake son. I believe he's her son, but then maybe not. Then there's this random other chick who is just very feral, very primal, and then she dies because the bee lady stabs her. Because I guess she was pregnant and she was going to give birth to another hive, but then the bee lady didn't want that, so she kills her. And then she takes Aster and makes her and that guy, I guess, bang over a course of a month, possibly, or a few months, because then the camera cuts away, because line of dialogue is like, I'm gonna breed you until you can't be, until you can't breed no more, and then I guess kill you or something. And then it cuts away to leaves and time passes. Don't know how much time. But yeah, I love the one scene where she meets that new guy, the pervert guy, and she's like, weird stuff is going on around here. I forget how she even worded it. In morning I'm gone, or till morning. I think it was, I'm leaving in the morning. No. I'm gone by morning, or in morning. I forget how she even said it. But she mentions morning. She's gonna leave in the morning instead of packing her stuff and just leaving. It's like I could not really care for her. And even the kills in this are lame. It's really only 3 deaths. But, I mean, I guess you can count the Henry guy, but again, he dies off screen. So I'm not counting his death. But yeah, I guess she gives birth to like a larva, a little egg of a bee baby, I guess, because it's not a baby as she gives birth. I mean, it is, but it's not. We don't see it. All we see is like this larva-looking egg thing. So I guess she's infected with. I guess she becomes a human bee vampire thing. I guess she'll live off her days, with these other hive people in this barn. And she kills the bee lady at the end in a lame, odd, confusing way, which I didn't understand. Because they show how she killed her with a bee, stinger, but I don't know where that's coming from. Is that coming from her cooch, from her snatch, from her arm, from her stomach? You don't know. I didn't really care at the end of the day. But yeah, production is just whatever with this movie. The acting is okay to whatever to decent. There was a better movie called Bite. Granted, I wasn't really a big fan of that movie. Even that movie, it has a bit more going for it, because at least the lead girl, you sort of root for, well, I want to say, you sort of sympathize more with her as she, changes more and more into a human wasp, or what was it, human bee woman or wasp or something. At least that movie had actual practical effects where she changes into an actual creature, whereas here it's just some Tinkerbell wings and a stinger that we don't even see where it comes out of. At least we can make that assumption it's either cooch or snatch. And she has vampire fangs, and then she laughs at the end, because like, oh, I have a real family now, and even though I don't know any of you people, and soon I guarantee you're all one of you is gonna try to challenge me for a throne or whatever. I'm gonna have to give birth to more and more of you. But oh well. I guess is that way of ending the movie. I guess we're supposed to just, alright, we're happy for her. Nope, I'm not. You don't really care about anybody at the end of the day in this movie. Get it. And there's this one, I saw this one review that was actually praising the film, which was like, the effects are actually pretty good, and, the look of the film is pretty good, the acting's really good. I'm like, no, and no. Like, what? I didn't care about Aster by the end, which maybe you're not supposed to, but then maybe you are. So anyway, yeah, I would just watch The Fly, David Cronenberg's The Fly. I saw bits and pieces of that movie. I would rather watch that. I'd rather watch, uh, what's the name's, the Wasp woman, the black and white one, not the 90s one. Um, Watch any other insect, body horror movie. Because this movie is barely a body horror movie. There's like some scales, little little boo-boos on people's wrists and uh, sides of their faces or whatever, and bodies. I love how there's a love-making scene in this movie, and the guy that she's banging, he is literally, she's like, we gotta get you to the hospital, but then, and this is the time he got kicked out of the house, because I guess he was trying to hide that he was sick. But yeah, Astor lets him back in, and then they decide to go at it, and literally takes his shirt off, and you can see it's like he's a half-burned victim because half of his body is like decaying, but she's still okay with, I guess, going in there or letting him go into this movie. What? This movie sucked balls. Do not watch this movie. If anything, skip all the way up to the end, and you will see the part where the extra literally has to lean back a bit out of the way of these phony Tinkerbell looking wings. Wow.